Coming at you full speed, no brakes. All these doubters gonna feel the quake. Raw determination in my veins. You can't touch this level of the game. Watch me rise. Watch me rise. They said I couldn't make it, but I'm still here standing. Every day grinding, while they're just demanding. Won't back down, can't stop now. Won't back down, can't stop now. Breaking through the walls you built.
Guys, welcome to episode number 2. I've got Sergeant David V. I'm not going to butcher his last name. I'll let him pronounce that for you. I met David a few weeks ago at Aelita. I spoke to him for probably a couple hours at one of the social events one night, and he's got an interesting background and an interesting way of teaching the next generation of law enforcement. David, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's David Vilsaying. Everybody just calls me Sergeant V. It's definitely way easier. I've been a sergeant since I was, 20 years old in the United States Army Reserve when I was an MP, and it just kind of stuck with me ever since. And now here I am, in my 40s and retired from law enforcement after 22 years of experience between the military and civilian law enforcement realm. I recently retired about a year and a half ago and started my own company, DXI Training Solutions. I do a lot of contract work for the National De-escalation Training Center, and they keep me pretty busy teaching de-escalation all over the country.
That's awesome. So you were an MP in the military. Was law enforcement always the goal, or was that just a way to get in the military and get going, and then you fell in love with it, or how'd you end up in this long career?
So yeah, law enforcement was always the goal. As far back as I can remember, my parents and my family were always in like that community service type mindset, right? My parents obviously didn't do anything too crazy, but they were always giving back to the community, even if it was just something as simple as like 4-H groups and whatnot. But then my grandfather on my mom's side was in law enforcement, and I heard all these stories about him, and I had an uncle who was a firefighter, and I had a cousin who was in the Army. And so just seeing those mentors and hearing those stories just kind of guided me on my journey, I guess.
That's awesome. My story's similar. My dad was in law enforcement for 40 years, and here I am 10, 11 years later, and it's probably the best job you can have.
Definitely the best job you can have, most rewarding by far.
So every cop's different. Tell me, what was your favorite thing to do when you were in law enforcement? Was it supervisors, DUIs, burglaries? What was your thing?
Boy, that kind of changed over the years, starting off early on as a rookie, it was chasing the DUIs. I loved getting the DUIs off the streets, making people safer. When I was a kid, I had a person who was fairly close to me die by a drunk driver. So I took that one home pretty hard, hammered out the DUIs quite a bit. And they never really stopped, even when I became a sergeant and was supervised, and I kept hunting them. But over the years, it kind of transitioned. A little while there, I really loved going out hunting warrants, getting those folks in and holding them accountable for the charges they were up for. But then, moving up to the SWAT team, working out as a sniper, all that stuff was fun. But I'd have to say the most rewarding was definitely when I finally got sergeant again in the civilian law enforcement realm and was able to start to lead and inspire the next generation.
Let me ask you this, because I explain this to all of our new guys that we hire. They all think they get in there and they want to go, 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 go. I try to explain to them, you're right. Those first few years, you're going to find something you really enjoy. And then about several years in, you're going to be like, man, I really want to do something different. And I think that's just a very important thing for them to, when they're new, just to impress on them is like, yeah, you're going to enjoy whatever you want for 4 or 5 years, whether it's DUIs or working drugs but then you're going to transition into something different, and you're going to be like, man, I can't believe I really enjoyed doing that for so long because I like this a lot better. I think every officer goes through that at some point.
Definitely. It's no different than when we are all teenagers. We all try on different little personalities when we're teenagers, right? You might be a little bit of a bookworm, but decide, maybe I'm going to start listening to some hip hop and, change some of the clothes I wear or something, and then, oh, I'm going to start standing up for myself and being more assertive. And, we try on all those different personalities as kids. And then you get out there in the real world and you start the career in law enforcement. And you find out that, what, I like a little bit of this one, I like a little bit of that. And you try them all on.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, I mean, you said that you enjoy being the supervisor probably the most. To you, like, what's important to make a good supervisor?
There's just so much. The biggest thing is understanding your employees, understanding the next generation. We're not all the same, right? What might have worked to lead and motivate me may not work to lead or motivate you or somebody else. And so recognizing we have to take a different approach with each person so that they can be the best possible officer.
I love that because I think you're probably one of the few people I've heard that think the same way I do. I mean, you see a lot of supervisors, it's always their way or the highway. And you got to realize, like, you're managing a group of personalities, not just one big monotonous personality. And so I mean, that's part of the job is managing all of those personalities.
Yeah, absolutely. If you just take the one way approach, you'll end up with a lot of turnover. And I've unfortunately seen that in my career.
So, what made you get to the point that you realized you were ready to retire?
I was out teaching part time for the National De-escalation Training Center. It was just kind of a little side gig, getting out there every now and then on my days off and bringing in some extra income. I really enjoyed it. I connected very well to the material. Um, and I saw how it could benefit in more ways than just de-escalation. It's literally effective communication, which can branch into all aspects of life. And one of my students, who is now actually one of my co-instructors, pulled me off to the side and he asked me, he said, "Okay, Sarge, what's it going to take for you to take that next step?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he says, "We all see it. We all know it. You're passionate. This is what you need to be doing." And I had never told anybody that that was my retirement dream, was to be able to travel and train and pass on all this knowledge to the next generation. But he saw it in me. And it was that little spark that just started things heading in the right path. And it wasn't that long after that conversation that I finally decided, you know what, the opportunities are here now, and there's no guarantee the opportunities will be here, when I do retire. So why not take it a little bit early and go ahead and start chasing that dream?
Absolutely. Do you miss it?
At times, but not as much as I thought I would.
Yeah. I mean, you're still kind of around it.
Yeah, I get to live vicariously through all the students that I teach, definitely. But yeah, it's definitely been a lot less stressful and just as rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. So, was this your first year at Aelita?
No, this was actually my second year at Aelita. I went last year as just a vendor for the National De-escalation Training Center, set up a booth for them. When I was there, though, there was something about the vibe, the environment there, the people. It felt like home, right? That was the people I needed to be around. So I decided right then and there, I was like, yep, I'm coming back next year, and I'll probably keep going back every year.
Yeah, our first year going was 2022, and it was just kind of I really don't even know where. I was just asked, hey, you want to go? And of course, hey, department's going to pay for you to go out of state. Yeah, I'll go. And I fell in love with it. We didn't get to go in 2023, but we got to go this past year. And it's just eye opening to hear the different points of view and like just hear so much about law enforcement that you don't realize goes on. And my biggest takeaway from this year was the class on imposter syndrome. I don't know if you got to attend that one or not, but I mean, it was just kind of eye opening of how many of us have got up there either teaching or just being around other cops, and you're like, man, I don't feel like I fit in, and deep down inside, just as well that you can do just as well as they can. You're just bringing yourself back down a little bit. And it was kind of eye opening because I sat there and I was like, I've had that exact same feeling plenty of times. And, like there's stuff that I may be way better at that than they are, There's no need to be embarrassed. And that was probably my biggest takeaway from this year. But it's great to get up there and network and meet people from all over the world. And I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely a great environment for that. There's no doubt that you could go for just a single day and you'd have more takeaways than you could implement in a whole year, let alone going for the whole week, trying to implement everything that you would learn in that week. It can be overwhelming. I know after my first year, I came back with a full notebook of ideas and thoughts, and I just slowly, just day after day, I'd break it out about once a week and just say, okay, what can I do today that I haven't done yet? And tried to start implementing